first department is the Parks Department, and we have with us this afternoon Ms. Monique Odom, who is the director. Joining her are Cindy Harrison, Tom Naich, and Shanita White. And Director Odom, you have the floor.
Still not working. There we go. I need to speak up. That's what it is. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair and Budget and Finance Committee. Again, as you mentioned, joining me at the podium here today are Cindy Harrison, Assistant Director for Greenways and Open Space, Tim Naich, Assistant Director for Planning and Facilities Development, and to my far left, Shanita White, Assistant Director for Finance and Administration. There are other members of our Parks team in the audience. Thank you so much for joining us. We also have Park Board members Susanna Scott Barnes and Jeff Haynes joining us as well. Without a doubt, I think we can all agree that the last fiscal year has been memorable, to say the least. Since we last met in that notorious virtual space called WebEx, our Parks team has met the unique challenges issued by COVID, working hard to keep up with the increasing demands of a growing city, while still keeping an intentional focus on equitable access to green spaces that are both inclusive and resilient. So let's talk a little bit about our team, how our team met those unique challenges caused by the pandemic. During COVID, our community center team presented our very first virtual summer enrichment program called BU, which featured games, physical fitness, puppets, and a variety of other activities designed to keep young minds busy and young and mature bodies fit. More than 30,000 parents and children viewed the programs, and they were shared over 400 times on social media. Our virtual summer program was also featured as one of the state's most innovative programs by the Tennessee Recreation and Parks Association. We also offered a hybrid program for the children of MNPS essential workers. That program provided tutoring and assistance during the week to students between the ages of 6 to 14, and on Saturdays we hosted learning labs for students in kindergarten through 8th grades in the areas of math and science. While our community center team was in the virtual mode, our maintenance team was outdoors meeting the responsibilities of their regular schedule of mowing and repairing, while also juggling the many demands from taxpayers who called, emailed, or reached out to us through social media regarding services to any particular park or facility. Our maintenance team never went home. They continued to service our parks and greenways, keeping them clean, usable, and safe for the public to enjoy when all other recreational options had disappeared. They stayed the course when Mother Nature almost destroyed Fisk Park and storms and floods closed Whitsett Park and the Mill Creek Greenway. And speaking of our parks and greenways, we were considered the only viable and safe public recreational option in the county. Our greenways saw more users during the pandemic than we've seen in years. We received an unprecedented amount of communications from appreciative users saying our green spaces and trails literally saved their lives and their sanity. We also received many expressions of appreciation for our golf courses, where we allowed free play to golfers for nearly a year. Free play was a sacrifice for a department with a golf program that has a reputation for increased rounds of play when the national trend is just the opposite. On the planning side, our team has continued work on a variety of projects, including renovations to Sunnyside Mansion, Phase 1 construction at Mill Ridge Park, the kickoff for the public engagement process for Wharf Park, and perhaps most notably, the fairly recent opening of the new East LA at Centennial Park. The rest of the Phase 2 construction project for Centennial will be completed later this year. Most of you know our department houses a number of divisions, facilities, and services that in some way impact nearly every resident of this city. Our Cultural Arts Division continues to see an increase in the numbers of people wanting to take music, dance, art, or theater classes. Our nature centers continue to do groundbreaking work with bird banding and environmental education classes for people of all ages. And our Outdoor Recreation Division continues to offer kayaking, canoeing, mountain biking, and hiking to an enthusiastic and ready-to-get outdoors growing city. But with all of that, there's still one more thing about Metro Parks that you should know, and that's our commitment to equity, inclusion, and diversity, both inside our department and outside to the community we serve. Internally, it means decision-making through a lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion. It means valuing our differences as assets rather than liabilities. It means treating each other with respect and fairness regardless of who we are, what we look like, or where we are from. It means understanding that we have an obligation to serve everyone in our community with dignity and respect. We are intentional about diversity in its many forms, including diversity of experience and perspective. It has been well documented that the lack of access to parks and public green spaces can have devastating impacts on individuals and communities. One important way we work to address these problems is to ensure that everyone has equitable access to safe and inclusive green spaces, programs, and services. Perhaps the most visible impact of how our internal philosophy affects the community is the upcoming groundbreaking ceremony for Mill Ridge Park, a 622-acre destination park in southeast Davidson County. The diverse demographics of this underserved area created a distinct opportunity to provide a park designed to meet the needs of that community. We are excited that this park will offer those residents the long overdue amenities needed for the fastest growing section of the county. And we are also in Phase 1 for Ravenwood Park, a nearly 800-acre property surrounded by almost 4 miles of highly scenic river frontage, a few miles from downtown Nashville. It's tucked off Lebanon Road between the Donaldson and Hermitage areas in a large bend of the Stone River. Now, I would be remiss if I did not give credit to all of our divisions for their dedicated service to this city. Thank you, Team Parks. I could go on, but I'll end with acknowledging that parks are essential. We are essential to the health of the city. We are essential to the wealth of the city. And we are essential to what makes this city great. Thank you, and we will take your questions now.
Councilman Druffel.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you for all you do. I'm a big believer in your parks and appreciate my experience at the Sportsplex and the tennis. Really appreciate it. I saw that program revenue is going down from last year, and you probably have you already know, but 1,800. Can you explain why it's going down?
Program
revenue is gone down from 2021 to 21-22.
And so that would account for some of the facility closures during COVID. So as you know, I'm certain that you do, that our COVID closures and impact on the city crosses multiple fiscal years.
Okay. So the 1,831,000 crosses over to this next fiscal year? Because it shows a program revenue shortfall, 1,831,000.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I need
that's
to
all
be
right.
clear on your question. I'm sorry.
Maybe my question was...
No.
Okay.
You're fine. At the time we submitted our revenue projections, we were in the midst of COVID, and so with the uncertainty, the way things would move forward, and we see they're rapidly opening up. That's what those projections are based on. I certainly expect if things continue to open up and we progress forward, our revenue will very likely be much higher than that.
Yeah, I would sort of expect that after having COVID and that we would have less revenue, we'd have a chance to actually exceed that number.
You're absolutely correct. And then I'd just like to also add that last year, in July of 2020, some rate changes or fee changes went into effect at the Parks Department. They had been approved last February, and we were really unable to realize all of the additional revenue that we expected to come in with those fee increases because of COVID, because of the necessary closures and capacity limitations and things like that. But hopefully moving forward, we'll see those. We'll be able to realize those in FY22.
Thank you. I have one more question in my backyard, and I'm District 23 in the Brookmead Park, which is a homeless encampment, as you know. As we find a solution for that, is there any money to rehabilitate that park? Or do you know approximately how much it would cost to rehabilitate the park? Again, having a good solution that's that everybody agrees to, would you be able to do that, or is there a cost? No.
There would probably be cost involved. I don't have that number, but we would certainly be open to looking at options to, both serve the community and those who are experiencing displacement as well.
Okay, thanks so much, John.
Councilwoman Johnston.
Thank you, and thank y'all for being here. Monique, you've been very responsive to everything that I've and I've sort of come at you at different angles with different stuff, so I appreciate what you do. For our purposes, how many acres of parks do you maintain?
About 16,000 acres.
16,000 acres. How many miles of greenways do you maintain?
About 100.
100 miles of greenways.
Yes.
So what I'm seeing, and correct me if I'm wrong, because sometimes reading this budget is a little challenging, but I'm seeing that you have an increase of 5 FTEs for parks and facilities maintenance in this particular budget. Is that correct?
That is correct, I believe.
Going from 161, I'm taking out, I don't know how you have a half of a FTE, but so that's why I'm just rounding down. So from 166 to, from 161 to 166 FTEs.
What page are you on, please?
Oh, good question. K 129 in that area. The greenways has not changed. That budget has not changed at all. Neither has the FTEs.
Right.
Have the FTEs, excuse my bad English. So in the parks and facilities maintenances, that budget has only gone up 342,500. The parks facilities, no, I'm sorry. That's parks police. So you've added 5 FTEs for the parks police, correct?
That's the request for FY22.
That's your request?
Yes.
Is that enough? I mean, I know that you guys maintain a lot, and I think one of the greatest things about our city are our green spaces and parks and greenways and all of that. And I know that in my district in particular, I think we've had this discussion, or I did with someone there, we have parks, but we also have the TVA easement that now Parks maintains. And we went from, and this is just an example, but we went from bush hogging, I think, 3 times a year to once. And literally, whoever it was I was talking to said, we're having a hard time keeping up with 1 time a year because we just do not have the manpower to do this. And I think it's important for everyone to understand how many acres and how many miles that you guys are in charge of in one of our biggest assets. So you're asking for 5 more police, you're asking for 5 more FTEs for parks and facilities maintenance. Is that enough?
Very honestly, I will say we could use many, many, many more hands on deck. I will say that. In preparing an annual budget, we're always thoughtful and strategic about what we ask for to make sure that we are, hitting kind of a baseline of what we need. But quite honestly, and then too with the understanding that it's not very likely that if we made a request for 200 positions at one time, that we would receive that at one time. So we are okay with requesting incremental new positions incrementally, but is it enough to serve the entire park system? No.
If you were to request something that would be a game changer, that would make a true difference in how we can maintain our parks, not only for the people that live here, but the people that are visiting. Take greenways out of it, take police out of it, just parks and facilities maintenance. How many FTEs would actually make that difference?
I think we probably need about 100 on the position count, head count, 100 positions. I would say that.
That's shocking. That's shocking. And I'm glad that you answered that honestly, because this is how underfunded our departments are. And I hope that everyone understands that. I wish you would ask for more, to be honest with you. Because I get a lot of complaints, not only from residents, but visitors of like,
Right.
wow, Centennial Park would be nice, right? We got a lot of issues all over the place, and you guys need more help.
Thank you.
Director Odom, I'm looking at your questionnaire, and I believe you got 48 positions in the mayor's proposed budget.
Yes.
Can you explain what those positions are?
So basically, if you would reference the budget highlights page, page I-44, particularly the general services district positions. So they span many of our divisions. Several are in maintenance, restoration of positions that were eliminated this fiscal year for consolidated maintenance and golf maintenance. Some administrative positions, a position in some positions for golf, a position for community centers to assist with sports programming in that division into the community. Let's see. And then, again, park police, some park police trainee positions, about 5 of those. So they span the entire department. Again, we were thoughtful and strategic in the request. I am excited or happy that out of the $3.1 million that we submitted as improvements, there are approximately $2.9 or $3 million of those requests here. So I am very grateful for that. Oh, and one other one is at the very top is to expand our disabilities program. That is one of the ways that we are attempting to serve an underserved community. That population. We have that program over at the Sportsplex. We'd like to extend that to community centers. We often have a waiting list for that program. It's been in existence for, I think, 40-plus years, and we need some extra hands, so helpful.
Councilwoman Suara, and then I'll come to you, Councilmember Van Rees.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Director Odom, and I echo what everyone says. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for allowing our families to have a place to get out when it becomes too much for families to be in one place for a long time when we were inside. So having the parks and the open place was instrumental in that, so I do agree. My question, it's from your operations detail. And along what Councilmember Droffel was saying, the reduction in your revenue actually is from your special revenue, and that is your donation and your grants that have gone down. And from looking at it, what you've tried to do is make up that special funding from your general fund to make it up. So I get all of that. But when I look at the details of your operations, I see that your recreation center had a reduction in funding. So when I'm looking at that, that is from your operation budgets. So you had 447,000 from your special purpose fund in 2021. For 2022, you're only doing 2,003. So in GSD, you increased that by 103,000, but you still have a net of 121,000. And so my take is that I know there's a shortage. I know we're trying to make up for special revenue from general fund. I get that. But why not ask for all of it? And why is it that the recreation center fund is where we are actually cutting when we need a place for the programming? That's my first question.
Okay, thank you so much for your question. And just to address that, on this page, what that actually reflects is the timeliness of the budget submission and confirmed grant award. So if you don't have a confirmed grant award at the time that the budget is submitted, you don't include that in the budget. I expect that $203,100, I expect that to increase. There are a couple of grants in there that will end, I think, in September, and we will reapply for those, so we expect to receive those. But that's the big difference that you see, that it's not just a deficit.
So if the grant, you don't have them yet, but what if they don't come in? What does that do to the recreation center operation?
Yeah. If we did not receive a particular grant, then we would either terminate the program or modify the program.
So I think what I'm trying to say is that I would have loved, knowing that we know the grants may not come in, we're not sure, as we're requesting for funding, that is a place that I don't want us to cut. I don't want us to cut from the recreation center. We have after-school program, weekend program for children that needs to have a place to go. So that is the last place that I want us to cut from. My second question is regards to the Metro Police, the Park Police. And I do see that you have an increased FTE of 5 for that. And so my question is, we would love to give you more money to cover recreation, but do you need 5 Park Police? And instead of an increase in that area, can we take that 121 deficit to cover recreation? Your opinion?
I think that we do need more Park Police, because our park system spans the entire county. And often on day shifts or night shifts, there may be as little as 1 police officer on duty. So I would say, yes, we do need to increase in park police. I also would not refuse an increase in other areas as well, just to be honest about it. I would not be against increasing community centers positions or programming either.
Okay. That would be my wish, that we're able to keep those recreation centers open and not contingent on whether we get the money or not get it. In case we don't get it, then we don't have to close them. That would be my wish. And my last question for you, you had indicated that your goal or your wish list would be 100 staff. But 48, like you said, is included in this budget. So is that 48 part of the 100, or is it in addition to the 100?
They would be additional.
Ooh, all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilmember Van Rees.
Thank you very much. I'm still getting, I think this is the first time I've been in this room for about a year, so thank you. First of all, it's been my honor to be the chair of the committee that represents parks, and I wanted to thank you for coming to our 6-month program, of which you participated 2 months worth. And if anyone watching this video, including the council members on this committee and otherwise, want to go back and do a deep dive on what it is that they do at parks and what it is that really comes home, particularly the second episode we did on stories of individuals that were affected. Thank you for that. Those videos are available on the Metro YouTube channel under the Parks Committee. So please review those. I appreciate you doing that. One of the things that I wanted to mention as the chair of the committee, both for parks and I will again for libraries and arts, is that there is a particular beautiful symbiotic relationship between these 3 departments, and the way in which you have, particularly in an overwhelmingly difficult year, found a way for the cities of Nashville to thrive and continue its cultural relevance amongst each other by being able to be in open spaces like parks, to be able to look at art when they're on the walkways, and to be able to check out the books at the pull-up. I really appreciate it. I don't think this city would have survived, quite frankly, without your hard work. And so I wanted to thank you. As not being a member of the Budget and Finance Committee, I wanted to make sure that you heard that directly from the Parks, Libraries, and Arts Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I can't tell who raised their hands first. I'm going to go with Councilwoman Allen and then Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of questions. In the questionnaire, there was an answer that involved coming up with a work order system in response to an earlier audit. And my question is just how would that interact with HUB, which seems like in general has just filled in so many gaps that we used to have in terms of getting things reported. So would this be complementary to that, or how would those two work together?
I think of it more as an internal work order system. We are working, as I mentioned on the questionnaire, the ITS department is leading that effort, and it is the work order system would be one feature of a larger system, and other departments would use other modules, if you will, in that system. So it would basically be internal, but
Gotcha. Okay.
be very helpful.
Hub has been great, so good to know that. And then to follow up on Councilmember Suarez's question, just so I understand, our community centers are so important for our kids and families, and I totally understand where you're coming from in terms of having to be cautious about revenue, especially back in February. So the way the budget is written today, if you are surprised and pleasantly surprised, and everybody comes back and plays golf and you get lots of revenue,
Yeah.
do you have the ability to then increase what you're spending at the community centers? Or if it doesn't get into the budget now, we missed it for a year?
It would need to be put into the budget. So the revenue
Gotcha.
that we receive from through our department is deposited to the general fund, and does not come directly to our department.
Gotcha. Is there any kind of data-based projection at this point, just based on what you're seeing now that things have opened up, that could provide information for what you might revise that revenue to be?
No, I don't. We have not looked at that piece. I will tell you that typically our revenue is about $14 million. And so I would base it on that number. It's significantly lower, and particularly looking mid-year, I was a bit concerned, but about 14 to $15 million. Again, I mentioned that some fee increases went into effect last year in July that we did not realize.
Gotcha.
So that will certainly have an impact on the increase in revenue.
So if all other things were equal and you'd had the fee increase, that 14 million would be going up
Yes,
some amount.
correct.
Okay, that's very
Correct.
helpful. That's very
Yes.
helpful. Okay, thank you. Parks is wonderful, and as everyone else has said, the parks and the greenways saved us all this year, so we are so grateful for y'all.
Thank you.
Councilman Bradford.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me. I got a few questions for our wonderful parks people here today. The first one I have, we have a lot of friends of groups for a lot of our parks, and I don't think every park has one, and I would love that. I would love for us to get to a point where every park has one, or even better, that we don't need them. So my question is, and I've been trying to figure out a way how to ask this, because I want to ask how much of your budget, or what percentage of your budget, comes from friends groups. But I also know probably the better way to ask that is how much of the revenue you get from friends groups saves on your actual. I don't know which form that question is easier to answer. I was trying to figure out, basically, how much do they help you financially?
Well, I'll say that we're very grateful to all of our friends groups, from the smallest to the most affluent, and they help quite a bit with programming and capital projects in parks. I'd have to be glad to get you the exact numbers of what has come in and in what form, but I am with you in acknowledging that every park does not have a friends support group or supplemental support. I certainly wish that they did, and even better, as you expressed, I hope that we get to a day where we won't need them, but they're certainly welcome to be around. But I can get you that information.
I appreciate that, and that kind of leads into my next question. The proposed budget we have right now for parks, as far as getting you to where you want to be, or what your ideal is, where does this get you? Does this get you to a point that you can now start looking at acquiring more property for parks? As I know, there's a lot of areas of the city, my district being one of them, that's very sparse when it comes to parks and green space. And there's been times I've asked about and had developers talk about turning over property as part of a development, but then parks said, well, we really don't have the money to maintain it. So this budget, does it get us to a point where we can maybe start doing more forward planning?
I think this budget gets us to a place where we are excited to be moving forward. This is an incremental step forward, very honestly, I'll say to you. So when we are acquiring property, you're absolutely right. One of the things that, that's opportunistic and that's wonderful, but one of the things that we look at strategically is, are we able to maintain it? And so I would expect that if for some reason a property acquisition came online, if we were purchasing it or something like that, that also accompanying that particular acquisition would be additional funding, operating funding for maintenance, so that that would be sort of baked in or a consideration with that particular acquisition rather than having us absorb it through our existing budget.
Okay, thank you. And another question, the discussion came up about the park police, and is their training any different than regular Metro police? And if not, what is the issue or what is the reason why we have park police and not have Metro patrolling our parks? Because if we have Metro patrol our parks, then those are positions and that's funding that could be opened up for parks.
So our park police receive the same training as MNPD officers, and we actually have an MNPD captain who kind of oversees or supervises our park police division, and we have an MOU, Parks Department and Police have an MOU for that agreement, and it has worked seamlessly. So in the event that park police are not available for some reason, or if there's some direction that law enforcement needs to take in the city, we get the same instruction, or MNPD can step in. So it's really one and the same. I always advocate for keeping our park police division in the Parks Department. We get specialized attention, particularly with events that we are having and that are happening in the parks, and then too with revenue pickups from some of our revenue-producing facilities. It is more specialized attention.
I'm just checking my notes to see if I have any more questions for you. Looks like that's all of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pretty loud. Oh, okay. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody's already hit you with all the praises, so I'm going to not hit you today with those, but we appreciate you,
Thank you.
More than you know. A couple of questions that I know my constituents want to hear about. South Englewood Park and Community Center. I don't want to talk about capital at all because that's not what we're here for. But is there anything within the maintenance budget that could be added to help with lighting? I know we've worked on some of these things, and you've been able to find the funding within your budget. Are there additional needs to make that park, again, not going towards the capital side of things, but to help the community because it's growing like crazy in South Englewood?
I think we need to, with you and the community, look at the feasibility of what we're asking for. I know that our team is currently doing some research about a dog park.
That was my next question.
Yeah. A dog park, and I can turn it over to Tim for detail. He just sent me some information earlier today per your request about, what that would look like or how much that would be. You want to give a...
Sure.
I don't just...
You don't want it?
Roughly what, just because I know we're running a little over on time, but what's the typical cost for adding a dog park?
Depends on it. Is it working?
Is it on?
It depends on site conditions, and it depends on the actual design of the park, and of course, neither of those have happened yet at South Inglewood, but there are other dog park projects currently in the CIB that are estimated at around $1 million. And that, you know, in the CIB, we generally try to use inflated numbers because we're asked to provide a budget for something that hasn't been designed yet.
And I wasn't sure that it was CIB, so my apologies, Chair, for going down that road. Operationally, what does it cost to maintain a dog park?
Oh, gosh. Mr. Taylor, do you have a number for that? Like operating
Ballpark is
budget
good.
impact for a dog park? I'm glad you asked that, Councilmember Benedict, because that's what I was going to say, is that we all should remember that capital improvements have operating budget impacts. But Mr. Taylor, you have it?
Rick Taylor, is this on?
Oh, is it on?
Rick Taylor with Metro Parks. All of our dog parks are generally open 365 days a year, so it's serviced every day. So generally 2 to 3 hours per day with 1 FTE is generally the cost. Getting that expense.
The mic's not working back there, I think, but he said 2 to 3 hours per day for 1 FTE. I don't know if you can help maybe follow up after the meeting and put that into some dollars for me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. And then I just, the other question that I've got is from a maintenance, the maintenance side of things. I know that there's an increase here, 2 FTEs, and that one of them also, you've got supplies listed out. Is that going to give you what you need to maintain the facilities in the same shape they're in right now?
It will help, and I'll tell you on that particular budget request, and there's another one in the budget, what I am particularly excited to see is the not only the FTE and the head count increase, but then the supply increase. So one of the things that we have been doing for the past several years, I mean, probably 10 or more years, is to make sure that we, in the year within budget, we hold vacancies, because in the all other section of the budget or the discretionary spending, it's not adequate. And so this, that amount would give us more money for supplies and maintenance items. I think there's another modification in there as well that has a similar request, so it would help.
Thank you so much. That wraps up my questions, Chair. One more comment. Your comments on diversity, equity, and inclusion are so appreciated, and were just astute and superb. Appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Councilman Druffel.
Yeah, mine is not a question, but a request. Just conservatively going back to the program revenue, since you're about $1.3 million from the $14 million that you think on average you would get, I'd like to request that you give us an idea what you would use with that up to $14 million or an additional $1.3 million of program revenue, so that maybe we could put together something like an amendment to try to get you some more staffing.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I'll send you, so as you know, we don't keep the revenue that we get, but I'll send you an expense budget of what that would include,
Yeah, it would be neutral, I would suspect. So we would,
Okay.
We think we can support you on that. So thank you.
Thank you.
So we are at time, but I am going to allow some final questions, so don't get upset. Just let you know that we're at our time and need to move on. Councilwoman Evans.
I would never be upset at you. Thank you for recognizing me. I just had one question. I want to go back to what Councilwoman Allen was asking you about the work order system. Since Hub Nashville is built, it's Salesforce. You know, was there an investigation on the ITS side about expanding Salesforce and Hub as opposed to going to a disparate system across all the departments? And I'm just curious if the direction that they were taking you was a cheaper alternative than expanding Hub.
I am unfortunately not aware of the research that went into that. I defer to Mr. Durbin for that.
Okay, I am scanning the room for any additional hands for questions. Director Odom, there's been a lot of discussion about your staffing and additional staffing needs. If you were to be given additional positions, will you have any issues filling those positions?
Well, I would like to say hopefully not, but as probably most of you saw on the front page of the paper this morning, there is a staffing shortage. And in speaking with many of my counterparts across the country, they are experiencing that same staffing shortage as we are as well. But we would be very grateful to have the opportunity to work toward filling positions that we very much need.
Well, thank you, Director Odom, Ms. Harrison, Mr. Naish, and Ms. White, for spending your afternoon with us and answering our questions.
Thank you.
Next up, we have library, and we will take a couple of minutes to let them come up and give everyone a little bit of a breather.